Okay, so this is the first part we're going to be doing for remote learning week 4. This is going to be the control bracket part 1. There's going to be 3 of these. This is not going to be done with equations. These are going to actually be 3 separate parts. Each one is going to have a slight modification. So this is really focusing on how to quickly modify parts. Okay. Again, we're going to deal with the same process. We're going to complete the part and we're going to find its mass. We're going to save this part and then upload it to Schoology. And then we're going to enter the mass into the Schoology assessment. Okay. Today's part is metric, and it's going to be a 1060 aluminum alloy. The approach I'm going to take on this one is kind of a three-phase part. Okay, I'm going to start with the 2 circles. First, on the front plane, I'm going to do a midplane extrusion to get them started. That'll be extruded at 12 millimeters. I'm then going to focus on the section in between the 2 circles up here, this section here, get it dialed in, and get it measured. And then at that point, what we're going to do is do a 10 millimeter midplane extrusion. And then I'm going to finish off on the back end, adding this little piece on and doing a 5 millimeter midplane extrusion before adding on the little circle at the top. Okay, so let's get this one started. It will not take very long. Yes, it looks complex, but I think what you see it actually going in motion, it is pretty straightforward. Slide this over so I can see it on my other screen. Again, I'm going to do a file new, a metric part, and say OK. And then what I'm going to do is, starting on my front plane, I'm going to create a new sketch. And again, I'm just going to start with 2 sets of circles. So I'm going to take the bigger circle to the left, and I'm going to start it at the origin with a couple smaller circles off and up a little bit to the right. Turning on my Smart Dimension tool, I'm going to begin to dial these 2 in by clicking on each circle and adding in the dimension that is on the drawing. So 25 and 35 here. On the top circle, the inside one will be 20. The outside one will be 30. And then the key is, between the 2 of them, they're 100 millimeters apart horizontally. And then from the center of the far right to the center of the one to the left and over to my right, they're going to be 15 millimeters in height between the 2. So there are my 2 fully defined sets of circles. So now what I'm going to do is go to Features, Extruded Boss Base, and again, I want to keep everything in the center of my part. So I'm going to go to Midplane, 12 millimeters, and hit my check mark. Okay, now I don't want to leave them blue, so I'm going to go over to my material, right click, and the great part is the 1060 aluminum alloy is right here in the speed menu. Left click, and now I have my 1060 alloy material. So now what I want to do is create the second phase here. All right, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and, again, starting on the front plane, create a new sketch and do a normal 2. Now in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my line tool. I'm going to kind of start from this lower quadrant here and pull vertically, or excuse me, horizontally to my left. Get out a little bit, about 2/3 of the way. I'm going to left click, pull, create a shallow arc, excuse me, and then drag a line. Okay, now that line, I want to make sure it's tangent. Okay, now I'm going to stop right here for a second. I want to make sure that this line and this curve right here are tangent, and that this line here and this circle are tangent. Okay, so that makes a big difference there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and dimension this circle right here to a radius of 20. All right, and I'll go ahead and pull this kind of back a little bit, shorten that up, and bring this in a little bit tighter. That's fine. We'll get this defined here in just a moment. Matter of fact, we have to add an angle here, I apologize, between this line here and this line. Delete that, sorry, delete. We're going to add a dimension between this line here and this line here of 30 degrees. Okay, now I'm going to trim this in a moment. I'll show you how after I do a couple other things. So there's the bottom lines right there. I'm now going to go and do the same thing on the top. I'm going to come over here, starting at this quadrant, pulling straight out. As soon as I get close to the circle, I'm going to left click, pull, and create an arc. And the arc is going to line up at the center, so I'm going to go here, but I'm going to pull a short, straight line. This line is really important. Don't just put your arc right to it. or this is not going to define correctly and your mask will be off. Okay, so make sure you have that short line. I'm going to make sure that this line is vertical to that point, just to make sure I'm on it. I want to make sure that this point right here and this point right here are vertical. That defines these two lines right there. I'm going to add a radius of 10 millimeters on this curve right here. Okay, now this is not ready to be taken care of yet. We're not a closed figure. All I've got are two sets of lines. What I want to do next is I need to take this edge right here and left click on it and hit the word convert entities. I'm going to hit this edge of the big circle here and also do a convert entities. All right, now if I use my trim tool and trim off the back of that circle and this line, trim off the back of this circle, you will now see it turn purple, meaning that this, is a closed figure. That's exactly what we want. Okay. Now you could do your midplane extrusion here and then cut the two pockets out. What I'm going to do is actually in this case, I'm going to go and draw these two pockets right here. Okay, I'm going to draw these pockets here and here by doing a 5 millimeter offset of all these lines. And then I'm going to draw two lines here, trim this out in between 10 millimeters, and then dimension to this inside at 50 from the center. Okay, once I have that, I can then do a midplane extrusion, and that will leave these two pockets empty. It saves me one step. You could do a cut extrude if you chose to. In my case, I'm trying to keep my design tree short, so I'm going to try to do this as one thing. So I'm going to turn on my offset entities and go 5 millimeters. Click on this line and reverse my direction. I'm just going to work my way around the part, including that line, this circle, this line, 20 millimeter arc, this line, and finish off with that circle. So there is one large pocket cut. Hit your check mark. I'm going to add the same dimension like I see it in the drawing. I'm going to put my 5 millimeter right about there. That turns it black. That's perfect. I am then going to go up here to my line tool and I'm going to draw two lines. I don't want to get caught at that midpoint. I got to be careful there. I'm going to draw a second line. I'm going to turn on my trim entities and get rid of the line in between. And then what I'm going to do is add my 10 millimeters here to make sure I have 10 millimeters between. It's still not defined because I still need to add a 50 millimeter distance between that line there and the center of the right circle. Okay, now as you can see, I got a slight issue right here. All right, so I may have to come in and do a little bit of a trim. And see if I can pull this back. I may not be able to. Let's see if I can pull that down. If I can try to trim it again. If it doesn't work when you trim it, you may have to add this arc back in. Okay, so what I'll do in this case is I will add in a 5 millimeter. Let me do an offset right here. Okay, that looks good. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull this to right there, and that should define it. Sometimes you have to manipulate to get it to work out. Okay, sometimes you can just trim it. Sometimes it doesn't see the intersection. It won't let the trim, so you just got to offset that arc to create what you got right there. All right, so this is where I'm left off. These are all the same dimensions that I have on the drawing in the same spots. So again, it makes it really easy to kind of make sure I'm checking I got all my dimensions where I need them by just simply looking over at the drawing and seeing these in the same spots. Now from here, I'm just going to simply extrude this outside section, leaving these two inside boxes empty. So I'm going to go to Features. Okay, actually I'm going to space bar and isometric so you can see this. I'm going to go to Extrude. I'm going to do a midplane at 10 millimeters. And then all I'm going to do is just click inside. In this case, I may have a problem. See, this one is not let me pick it. That tells me I have an open hole somewhere. So what I need to do is go back and I'm going to have to look and see where I potentially have a hole. Okay, so I'm going to have to kind of look at each corner to determine what is off. I think it's this one right here. I think there's a problem right there. I'm not sure if this line and this line are not attached to each other. Not positive what's going on there. Just trying to make sure I have everything kind of put together. Make sure those are together. I'm going to make sure that this and this are okay. So at this point, if this doesn't quite work, again, I'm not sure why I'm not seeing a hole anywhere. So I'm not quite sure why there is an issue. Okay, so I'm not sure if there's something there or if something's wrong up here. Okay, in this case, I may have to just go ahead and do the one extrusion and then come back and add these two back on, because for some reason it's not liking this region right here, and I'm not positive why. Okay, so I'm looking at this. So I'll do a mid plane, and I'm just going to do 10 millimeters. What I'll have to probably end up doing is coming back in, and I may have to rebuild this sketch. I'm not sure exactly what is wrong with it. I see a box here that tells me something's not right, but I'm not positive what is wrong with it. Okay, so I'm going to at this point go in here and just do a mid plane of 10 millimeters, and I may have to add a quick step. I'm going to see if I can maybe go in here and just real fast go to that front plane. I'm going to have to create again another sketch. I'm going to see if I can get it to work. And again, sometimes this happens where things aren't always going to work the way you want them to. So what I'm going to do is do offset entities and flip this to the inside and reverse, reverse, oops, offset, reverse, hit this edge here. Oh, wait, what am I doing? Hold on. Okay, check. Offset. Check. I'm gonna offset. Oops, not trim, offset. Okay, and check. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and draw that other line in here. Make that distance between these two at 10. And it looks like I'm going to have to do a bunch of trimming. And again, it looks like my issue may be right here. I'm not positive why that would happen. I'm going to take and trim that off. I'm going to trim this piece off with this. I see a little bit of an issue right there. Control Z. I'm just going to pull this one long and then trim that off. Okay, that looks good there. Okay, there. I should have a line there. I'll trim off this part and finish off by trimming here and here. Okay, now my hope is if I come in here and do a features extruded cut and I do a through all both, it looks like it worked. Now again, I don't know why the other sketch didn't work and why it worked there. Sometimes you got to play that game. It kind of stinks though because I had to add one more branch. So in essence, I probably could have done that cut as a separate entity. Okay, however it works, if it works the way it worked with the sketches first, it saves you a step, awesome. If not, go ahead and extrude it, do your offsets and cut the two pockets. Okay, whatever way works best for you, that's what I want you to do. Okay, next, I am going to now focus on the back part of this. So again, looking at the model, here's phase 3. All right, again, I'm going to start on the front plane. I'm basically going to start by drawing a circle that's going to be 35 millimeters up from the center of this one and 15 millimeters out. And then I'm just going to draw a line straight up till it connects. And I'm going to draw a second line off of here at 135 degrees. And where it is horizontal, okay, from this origin or from the center of that circle, okay? So now, going into this, I'm simply going to go to my front plane. I'm going to start a new sketch. I'm going to do a space bar and a normal 2. Start with a circle out here in space. I'm going to dimension that circle to a diameter of 20. All right, I'm going to go here, and from here to here will be 35 high. And from here to here, I'm going to pull straight down, will be 15 out. All right, dimensions are exactly in the same spot as you see on the drawing. All right, now from here, I'm just going to turn on a line tool. That's going to start right here at the edge or quadrant of the circle and go straight up to the edge of the circle. Hit escape. Okay, I'm going to make sure this is vertical. It is. All right, and now I'm going to go here to draw a circle off of here somewhere, kind of off. Oops, actually, in this case, I'll draw it off of maybe that edge there to there. Actually, then when I get to that midpoint, I apologize. That's not where I want it. I just want it somewhere on this edge like so. Now, the key is I want this endpoint of this line to be horizontal to that center. I want the angle between this line and this line here to be 135 degrees. Okay, so that is fully defined. All right, now in this case here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure, there's a dimension on there from this center to this line. This is going to be, oops, you know what I did wrong? I know what I did wrong, sorry. I made one mistake there. I looked at my drawing incorrectly. This line is not there. I apologize. There is an offset of this circle I've got to deal with. This line here I'm going to draw, actually it's from here straight down. Okay, and I'm just going to draw it vertically like so, but this line is actually, I apologize, from here to here. I should have saw that earlier. This should be 5 millimeters. Okay, and then it looks like I've got a circle that is going to be offset. In this case, that is 5 from the center. I'm just basically going to, in this case, create a looks like a 2.5 millimeter. Let me see, hold on here, I got to think about this. So this is 5 millimeters from here over. This is going to, I'm going to offset this. First of all, I'm going to offset this 5 millimeters. That looks right. Offset this 5 millimeters. The other, oops, nope, I can't do both. Sorry, because it's going to go the other way. I'm going to offset this 5 millimeters. Reverse. Okay, check. And then this, I'm going to create basically an offset of this circle. That is going to be, and I did not get my dimension on here. I got to add it on. That dimension there. Real quickly, I'm just going to open up and just double check what that one should be. So if I look right here, I got to add one more dimension. Okay, so coming back into here and opening it, I am missing this dimension right here of this circle. I need to add that in. So let's do that right now. And that is going to be a radius of 20 or a diameter of 40. Okay, and I'm actually going to right click and say display options and display diameter. You do not have to do this since you do not have to do the drawings. Okay, so I'm going to make that 40. So what I need to do is go back to my part right here, and I'm going to create a circle from the center that has a diameter of 40. Okay, now in this case, I don't like when that happens. Oops, sorry. I like mine to be at there, and I'm going to call it 40. Okay, so now this is what I'm looking at. All right, this one here, I'm just going to have it intersect right along there. And then now I could go here and make this one intersect here, add that 5 millimeter distance between them. I apologize, that should stay on there. That's 5. Okay, this is 5. And now what I can do is simply do some trimming. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to kind of trim my tools. The reason this is not filled in is because I also need to do a convert entities on this edge right here and check. And now what I can do is simply trim everything I don't need off. Okay, so I'm gonna go trim here. I'm gonna trim that edge off right there. Trim this edge off right there. I'm gonna trim this off here. Let's see, I'm gonna trim off, I'm gonna do one more, conversion here. I gotta do another convert entity on this line. And then I'm going to go ahead and check, which will allow me now to come in here and trim that piece and this piece. Okay, it doesn't like this because I'm going to get rid of, in this case, I got to keep that concentric, and then I'm going to trim this piece off here, and then that will stay. And that should be everything I need to do, except for, let me get rid of that and that. Okay, now you can see there's a whole lot of errors going on here, and I'm not quite sure why. What I'll do is maybe get rid of this concentric. Wait, this concentric here is a problem. It's concentric to something, and it should not be. So get rid of that. I will get rid of this. And let me see what else I got to figure out here. I'm not sure what is, whoops, wait, hold on here. I got to get rid of, so I'm going to have that filled in. That needs to be closed. Or does it? Oh, let me trim this off right here. Okay, so then that's okay. 520. Does not like that convert entity. I'm not sure why. Trying to get rid of that, but it will not let me. And I'm not sure what's going on with why it will not let me get rid of that. Okay, same with this one here. Okay, but my error looks like it's right here, and I'm not sure why. Unfortunately, I cannot get this. Let me see if I can get this 5 to go away, if that helps. No. I'm just going to start deleting some of my dimensions. That seems to help. Not sure what's going on here. Okay, so that at least gets something going on there. I'm going to take, oh, I know part of the problem is I need to do a convert entity here. Sorry, I'm confusing you. And then this is all going to be a convert entity. That's got to be a convert entity. I'll make this collinear 40. I'll add the 5 back onto here. And that seems to make a solution there. Let me do a quick trim. I'm going to trim off this piece right here. And then let me see what we got here. Do I have everything I need? Just double checking everything, just looking one more time. It looks like it's fully defined. Again, I don't know why I dropped those numbers off and what's defining this. That's kind of confusing. But what I want to do right now is go to Features, Extrude Boss Base. Okay, I'm going to pick this section right here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Honestly, I think the reason it's not showing up and I had to pick it was I'm not done with all the trimming. I should have trimmed off that little piece right there. This one here, it looks like this lost, that's there. Okay, now I need my numbers. Sorry about this, guys. I don't mean to make it so confusing. I do apologize that I am all over the place on this. Okay, bear with me. Hopefully you're getting it to work the first time and don't have to go through this big scramble like I just did. You could draw that in by hand if you had to, but this is kind of the way it should look. Now I see it close. I can go to Features, Extruded Boss Base. Again, I'm going to do a 5mm extrusion on this with a midpoint extrusion. Okay, and again, that if you look on there, you can see that pretty clearly. That's a midpoint extrusion. That gives me the third part. Okay, again, I got one more sketch to do here. I'm going to go to my front plane. I'm going to do one more extruded cut here, or extrude sketch on the front plane with a normal 2. I need to add a secondary circle here. That's going to be a midplane extrusion of 10 millimeters. Hover on the edge, attach to the middle, and make that 9 millimeters in size. I'm going to extrude that out a total of 10 millimeters. So this is going to be, again, a midplane extrusion. So features, extrude, midplane, 10, check. Okay, now I'm going to do is go on the front plane one more time. New sketch, spacebar normal 2, and now we're going to punch a hole through this. Then we're going to finish with our chamfers. That hole right there that's going to go through is a diameter of 5 millimeters. I'm now going to do a through-all cut both and check. So here is your general shape. Right now, the last step I have here before finding my mass is to go and add a feature chamfer. So I'm going to go up here, and the chamfer is going to be the same. It's going to be 2 by 45 degrees. So 2 millimeters by 45 degrees. Oops, not 5, excuse me. 2 millimeters by 45. All right, I'm going to hit the outside edge here. Outside edge over here. Basically, I'm just going to work my way around the entire model here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is on this one, I'm going to hit the outside edge. Whoops, is it the outside? Oh, wait, is that right? Yep, there and there. I'm going to hit the outside edge here, the outside edge over here. Okay, so that takes care of this. I'm going to take the outside edge up here, the outside edge up here, like so. Okay, I'm going to take this edge right here. Looks like this edge in here. And again, I'm kind of just like looking at the model. It's going to be also these edges on the inside. So everything looks like it's being chamfered. So every edge. And it may just be easy just to hit the faces. I'm going to try that in just a second. But basically, this is all I'm going to do is hit these inside edges. I'm not sure what I've gotten done or what I don't. It doesn't look like I got this edge here. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit this outside edge here. That outside edge over there. I think that looks good there. I'm going to hit the bottom edge down here like so. This bottom edge down here. And then from there, it looks like it's all the inside edges. Okay, now I'm going to try hitting his face. Nope, don't want to do that. That's not going to work. I'll hit this edge. Not that face. I'm going to hit the edge. Hit this edge over here. And again, if this is confusing, you do this in multiple stages. It's up to you. I'm trying to do it all in one shot. Kind of, oops, not the face. Hit this edge. Hit that edge. This edge. That edge. This edge. Here. Here. And I'm going to color this in so you guys can see this. This is one that's a little tricky. You're going to really want to watch this carefully on the film. Take your time. Essentially, you're hitting every edge, but this outside part of the circles. Okay? So if I do this, I'm going to hit my check mark. And this is kind of what I'm looking at. Now, what I'm going to do is add the red coloring, right-click, beach ball, chamfer. And I'm going to add that dark red coloring I normally do just to make it see if it looks just like the drawing I have up here, okay? And from what I can see, it does look like that drawing, all right? This looks just like what it's supposed to, and that's what I want it to be, is this right here, okay? So, looking at this, it looks correct. This is done. All those parts are chamfered. So now what I want you to do is save this. I'm going to go ahead and do a file save as. So I'm going to do a control save. I want to save this into my folder. I'm going to call this control bracket. I'm going to go caps lock, control bracket, underscore part 1, underscore my last name. and save. Okay, now at this point, I'm not going to go through this. I want you to show me what you got. I would go up to evaluate, get my mass properties. I want you to take that mass property and enter in that answer onto the Schoology assessment for the first part. Okay, so this completes part 1. I am now going to go ahead and create another video for part 2, and then I'll create a separate video for part 3. Right, take your time on this. I know that was a little confusing on the back end. Hopefully you can get that to work. Same with the pocket cuts. But if you take your time and really kind of focus in on it, you should be able to get this part done in a short amount of time. With that said, don't forget to get your mask. Don't forget to upload this part to Schoology. It is due by Friday. Good luck.